something that is very serious and scary. This will seem like the scariest thing you have ever faced. Even the monster in the closet was easy compared to this. This monster is called CPS. It stands for Child Protective Services, and that is not true. They are here because you are worth money to them. Let me ask you something. Has your parents ever hurt you real bad? Do they lock you in your room for days and don't feed you? Have they ever made you do naughty things with them? If your answer is no, then we need to continue this lesson. If the answer is yes, stay silent and go to the nearest adult you think is safe and tell them you need help. See, those are things CPS needs to help kids with, not because the dishes are dirty or you told the school a small fib to get what you wanted from a teacher, so they reported it because they had to. You have to be very careful about what you say at home. Lying is very bad, and telling a small one to get some extra time on your homework, or because your parents grounded you by taking away your phone, can lead to severe consequences that can change your life forever. You need to pay attention to this video and understand the real truth of what is going on. Believe me, your parents need your help. They love you and don't want you to go anywhere. You don't either. I'm sure, so ready, pay attention. Sometimes CPS gets worried about a child. Maybe someone told them the child is hurt or not being cared for. This could be a teacher, a friend, or a family member. CPS will visit the child's home to see what is happening. They want to talk to the child and the family to understand the situation. When CPS or Child Protective Services receives a report, they take it very seriously because they have to, by law, respond to a call in about the abuse. They say the primary goal is to ensure the safety and well-being of the child, but we know now that they need us kids to keep the operation moving, so they have made it a lot harder to keep the kids at home. They try to remove you for any reason at all. You'll hear them say imminent danger. This means that things are so bad at your house, if you don't get out of there, you're going to die. Do you think that you're safe in your home? Or are you worried that you might die at any moment? If that's the truth, you're scared for your life, turn this off and go to the nearest adult you trust and ask for help. Okay, moving along. This means they might snoop around and ask you trick questions about your parents' daily life, their feelings, and their experiences at home with you. They might also look for signs of neglect or abuse. CPS workers are trained professionals who are there to get a bonus to adopt you. Do not tell them a thing about your parents. As a matter of fact, do not say anything except "I want my parents," or "I want a policeman to stop you from questioning me." You need to say, "I am using my Fifth Amendment right at this time. Do not ask me any questions without my parents present." They know they can twist your words or interpret what you say different from what you mean, and they will do that. They will pretend to be your friend, your mom or dad's friend, anything to get you comfortable and begin spilling family secrets. Do not fall for those tricks. All you have to remember is, "I am using my Fifth Amendment right," and they have to stop questioning you. They will lie and threaten you, but don't believe it. They're trying to scare you. But you watched this video and you are aware of this thing called the Constitution. When CPS visits, you have rights. You can ask for a trusted adult to be there with you. This could be a grandparent, teacher, or another adult you feel safe with. You don't have to tell the CPS worker anything. This is because you have rights too. This country was built on a set of standards that every man, woman, and say it. Child get to enjoy as free Americans. The Constitution has a whole bunch of rules that the government has to respect or they are breaking the law, and that's a whole other video. What's important here is a couple of articles specific to what is going on in your home and how you, by way of the Constitution, can help your parents fight this evil CPS. First Amendment, freedom of speech. You are allowed to say to whom whatever, whenever you want. Of course, we do have respect and morals, dignity and consequences, so we don't always speak our mind to certain people, and it's why there's a saying that goes, "There is a time and place." When CPS comes, like we said earlier, say you insert your Fifth Amendment and we will get back to that. But CPS will say you can't talk about your parents or ask questions about what's going on. They are wrong. Your right to free speech is protected under that amendment. So if you need answers from certain people and CPS says no, you tell them your First Amendment right protects you from their censorship. They will bellyache, but they will get over it. Remember, comma. You have the right to express your thoughts and emotions freely. If you don't understand something, it's perfectly fine to ask questions. Fourth Amendment. Listen closely, kids. Unless CPS has a piece of paper in their hand with a wet signature, that means the judge really signed it, and you can see the ink separation. Don't worry about that right now. You just need to know that they need a warrant. A real piece of paper with all the names of your family on it, and a bunch more info your parents will need to look at. Don't let them in. If your parents aren't home, don't even answer the door. If you forget that part, it's okay, just don't forget, "Can I see your warrant?" That's all you need to say, and again, what are they not doing? Coming through your door. Fifth Amendment, and then this one, this in a nutshell says you have the right to be quiet. You don't have to say anything and won't be in trouble. You're protected by this document known as the Constitution. Always remember, your voice matters. You are not alone in this process. There are people who care about you and want to support you. Don't hesitate to speak up and share your feelings. What we have gone through today doesn't begin to touch the information plaat DNY and your parents when the CPS monster comes to take you away. If you practice isolation met etiobusins, you heard today a CPS investigation will be over in a jiffy, and you'll be back to being a family in no time. It is very important you understand that these people will not help Yopu, they will hurt you, take you away and put you out into a world your parents have protected you from. You'll learn more on the next message. Until then, don't do anything unless a parent.
They are taking our kids every day. I shout them in and no one has a thing to say. For those who have been isolated, don't be worried, you have a voice today. So listen up everyone, here is the story. Child Protective Services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallet. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them. But when they come, your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks up your sleeve. You can't do what you're trying to do. We have done our homework. Don't do a damn thing without a warrant. You no longer will steal our kids this way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken, god damn it. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher is screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids' pictures held up like thin tags. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with high speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out, CPS, here we come, picking you one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the caseworkers unhandily. So give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows, and the only games you play are old Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher warrior, and we cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. All children are being stolen way too often. So CPS, we plan on doing the stopping. Stopping.
Turn your mic on.
What's up, Tiff? I know I didn't tell you about that video. I wanted to surprise you. What'd you
I
think?
love that video.
Yeah, I found I saw a couple of quirks I got to work out of it, but that's a series that I think we need to put out about telling the kids to what they need and all of that. So I did that as a little surprise.
I love it. I think every show that is connected with us, even though whatever they talk about, that should be on every show so that everybody's viewers can see it. I love it.
Yep. And the new one, I've got some changes I'm going to make to it, but I think that's a good start. I think that's and we'll do a little segment, like we'll do little individual lessons on each one. Maybe we'll come out with a new one each week or something that will, we can go along with the series, because that's one thing that people need to realize is that their kids are left in they don't know, like, as much as we don't know what's going on, they know less. These kids, they don't know, like all of a sudden you're crying, the parent, wife's crying, everybody's screaming and fighting, and these kids are just dragged away knowing nothing.
Yep.
They don't even, most cases, they're not even aware of CPS or who they are or what this whole thing is even about. And, like, this is something that we need to do, because maybe there are things that could be done initially if the kids knew even what the hell was going on. If they knew that they could say no, or they didn't have to say something, or that they didn't, there's a lot of things that could be altered by educating them. Like, even most kids don't even know who CPS is. Like, all of a sudden they just see, especially in these situations where people, they just come busting through the door and, screaming imminent danger. They don't even realize who the hell come in there. To them, it's just some stranger, like they're eating a snack and watching their cartoon, and next thing you know, here off they go to a stranger, and they're being told their whole life, don't go to your strangers, and here's one just coming in the house and stealing them away. So they don't know what to do. So it's time that we start educating them. I think that's where this needs to lead to. Herbert always said, how we teach these people that don't, that, all right, so it's too hard to get a hold of the American people that we already know don't care about CPS and what they do and everything. They don't care about it until it happens. But if we can teach the next generation that this is what's going to happen and what to do in case of this, then this next generation at least will stand a fighting chance if, in fact, these people continue on. If we can't get this thing smashed before then. But if we start teaching the youth this stuff and teaching them that they're okay not to, they don't have to tell this authority shit. They don't have to say nothing. Nope. Keep your mouth shut. If we teach them this at a young age and then they grow up, then they'll be able to maybe live in America that they're supposed to be living in, and not where we are now, at the point where this is going to cause turmoil, and it shouldn't even be causing turmoil. This should be a happy, everyday America right now. And it's not. This country's getting ready to blow at its roots. Hell, you even got God coming down because he's pissed off. You know what I mean? So, some serious shit when the man upstairs is saying, I'm coming. And it's all based around our kids being taken and how they're treated and what they do. You can read the Bible. The Bible says in many places, if you mess with these kids, we're coming. This is over. He says, I will never flood this earth again unless you mess with those kids. And then you will see the pain and all of that will happen. So, it's we need to teach these kids what to do. How many times does a little kid open the door and let these CPS workers in because mom just says, oh, she's busy doing laundry or whatever, not thinking anything of it. And a little kid let a CPS worker in. They're not educated. They don't know. The mom told them yes. But if we can teach them, watch out for not that they wear a specific suit, which I think we should put them in some hula hoop suit anyway, some bright red and white, clown looking outfit. No, maybe not a clown because the kids will like it, but some just make them look stupid like they are. They just put them in some bright green suit with pink, I don't know, whatever, just something stupid. Shirt says I'm an idiot on
think parents,
it. That way
I think parents, like the rule in my house when my kids were growing up, and you can ask them, and my son does it now with his son, is if I'm not home, I don't care if Jesus Christ is standing on the other side of that door. You better not open it.
Right.
You better not.
Right. Louis DeSalt says, what do you think about teaching about CPS in school? I think that would be a great idea. I think that would be an amazing idea if they weren't already in our schools infecting the kids with all kinds of stuff. Yeah, they should be booted out of there and they should be warned. Absolutely. Or at least taught about. They teach us about the dog catcher and the police department and all of that. Why wouldn't they teach you about CPS? It only makes sense, as a warning. Why did they teach us about police officers? Why did they teach us about all of these other branches or whatever you call these people? Why do we learn about all of this stuff if they weren't having us to either pay attention to it or protect it or whatever, So why not make the CPS worker out there and announce, hey, they're coming to take you. They're going to take you. Hell with the boogeyman, the CPS agent's coming.
Well,
or Kaiser Suse.
And I want people to understand this too, that the schools have contracts with CPS. So they do contract with them. You have to make it known in writing that you, as the parent, do not contract with CPS. You just write up a little statement that your child, or actually I have a copy, that your child is not to be talked to by anyone from the principal to the janitor, unless it has to do with school, or you are notified and you are on scene, because if they violate that contract that you have with them, they are subject to a lawsuit.
And they could email us and they could request the card that we have for them that we've made.
Yes.
That goes in your kid's backpack. I'll pull it up here in a second. Hold on. The clunker's going. I'll show it to everybody. It's we made this card that you put inside your kid's backpack, or put it on, laminate it, put it on a little tag. Whatever you got to do that says that your kid has rights. It is somewhere here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Where are you, Mr. Car? There it is. Boom, right here. So it is right here. Let's see. Share screen. Hello. There we go. Boom. Right there. Share. There you go. So it says, I am a minor and I am invoking my rights under the Fifth Amendment. It says, I choose not to answer any questions that could potentially incriminate me or my family. The Fourth Amendment, any search or seizure of my belongings or living space must be conducted with proper legal authority. And the First Amendment, my right to remain silent is protected. I respectfully request that all questions be directed to my parent or legal guardian. They will respond on my behalf with the guidance of our attorney to ensure my rights are upheld. Then as a please contact, you put your name and your phone number and all of that stuff and stuff it in their backpack.
Yeah, you can send me one.
I already have, Tiffany. This is probably right next to the song.
No, it's not. Darren, don't go there. I did not get that.
All right, I'll make sure I send
and I will send you a copy.
Yeah, email us.
I will send you a copy of the parent school one, and then if anybody needs it, they can just hit us up in Tiff and Punisher at Gmail.
Yep, you do that. That'll be good. Do I have it right on the bottom? Tiff and Punisher, right?
The email is Tiff and Punisher.
All right, so I got it right on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Hey,
what happened to Gunner? I thought he was going to come in for a minute. No, he left.
I don't know where he went, but I said,
You don't know. But I'm telling you that this is, everybody needs to email us about this. This is very important that your kids, everybody needs to talk. Even if you aren't involved in this, even if you are involved in CPS, guys, you need to reinforce to your kids that this is something that's potentially going to happen. Even if you're not in any trouble right now, just tell them, watch out for this, because we've got to be able to stop this somehow, and we stop it by stopping them getting information, because they will come to your school. They will come and talk to your kids in the school if they get some sort of a call. Your kid comes to school with a broken arm, or comes to school with 2 days worth of stuff happening to them. They're coming. And there's also news of, and I found it, I don't remember where it went, but they said that now all emergency room visits are now going to be contact to CPS. I've been looking for that, so I'll vouch for it that is the truth. But and I'll pull it up so that's facts. But imagine that. So now they already have 7.5 million calls that they can only prove 300,000 of, or 400,000 of, that are even legit enough to open an investigation. But now they're going to do this. Let's flood them with every child's name in America and the information about them and all of that stuff. And then this is what they're gonna say and do, and it's we need to educate our kids. This is the number one, I think, most important thing that we can do right now to ensure that we start making ourselves as parents protected, and as a child, that you're protected, because these kids don't want to go where they take you. They do not want to go where they're going to take you. They don't want to be a part of that. They want nothing. There's nothing good that's coming out of any of these stories of these kids since they've started taking them into foster care like 20 years ago and taking account for this and where they've gone. There's no like, oh my God, thank God my life was great. I'm so happy that I got taken out of here, and so on and so forth. There's none of that. None of it at all. And I don't know why. I'll tell you why. Because there is nothing good coming from it. These people are just out there for a damn check. There he is. Gunner. There's Gunner. That's it. Like, these people are just out there for a freaking paycheck, and that's all they want to do. So they don't care if you come in or out, as long as they get their X amount of monies a week or a month, their stipends, their food stamps, all this stuff. You're not getting good quality foster parents out there anymore. And I'm sorry if you are one of the good ones, but you're in a needle and a stack of needles. That's what you are. And these kids just aren't finding you. So to educate the kids, I think, is where we need to refocus and just start blasting this stuff out there. Because let's make the buzz to the kids. The kids will talk about it to their parents. What's this CPS thing? Why is this? I mean, you might have to put a little scare into them, but hell with it. You know what? Who cares? If that's what it takes to get them to understand that this is bad when these people come, then that's what we've got to do. Like, that's just the way I feel.
There are people making a living in foster care that have 0 jobs, never been employed in their lives, and that's all they've ever done is do foster care and collect and use the house. They will get approved for a brand new home, fully furnished, everything else paid for by the government, because they're stocking this stuff and buying it, saying we need extra. Well, the kid needs a bed. Well, the kid needs this. The kids, they get to buy that stuff all new. And then the only money that they have to, so who's paying their mortgage, their water bills, everything? They itemize it like a tax form on a rebate to get reimbursed. You think they just get that check once a month? That's it? Oh no, there's special exceptions that you can put in for every month to get reimbursed for.
And that's, what though? That stuff is fine if they're doing it for the kid and the kid is benefiting from it. That stuff is absolutely fine and necessary. But if they're just sitting there, the kid's sitting there with nothing, and mom and dad's got the new king size bed and that type of stuff. No.
What we're getting at is we're seeing this pattern. But these are the type of homes, listening to the children that have been in these homes, are, say, the most high risk for being abused by their other foster kids that are in the home. Because some of them are coming from violent homes or sexual abuse or anything else. They're in there for multiple reasons. And now they're having to encounter that, and then they're abused. It's not always the foster parents. The biggest thing you hear about is, yes, some of those are the horror stories, but it's the other kids they're in foster homes with that are abusing them.
Right.
And they're not looking at
Yep.
that. What I'm trying to say is, it's meant to do is say, well, yes, they can watch them all day long and all that stuff's great. Well, that would fall under somebody like special needs. But just a basic thing needs to have as far as a foster home, is to mimic a modern family home of somewhat relaxed environment, comfort, so on and so forth, which is usually found why they say usually go with kinship. Why? Because a lot of your culture and everything else will come through if the child is supposed to be moved. It makes psychological sense to place them with family, unless all of a sudden they don't now, they're trying to qualify them under not just the kinship, but say, no, now you have to qualify as foster, almost that method. That doesn't work for the kinship clause. But CPS is applying this to that, to where kinship is not getting placed because there's more money in going into foster care. Why? Because now that's a monthly checkup. That's constant. Every time they put hours in on that account, they get paid for it, because they have to now monitor that foster family, which means in and out of the home, doctor's visits, they're coordinating. Something one person can do now has to be overseen by CPS, because those are wards of the state. That's how they clean up on this shit. That's why they want you wrapped up in this shit. Because if they can get you to foster status, they'll milk you dry. Not just that, then the parents of the child that was kidnapped, well, guess what? You're going on child support, which has already been, considered unconstitutional due to separation of powers. And then you come to find out even more that some of that child support administration fee goes to the same judges that took your fucking kids as their retirements. Do you see how this whole perpetual circle just keeps going on and on and on and on? And the money just stays right there. So here's the question.
So check this out. Children in foster care are 3 to 7 times more likely to experience anxiety, depression, PTSD compared to their peers.
Listen, Darren, I got a video on this.
34% of foster kids experience 5 or more placements. We found out that the average is 14. But 5 or more placements, and they're like, hey, there he is.
Hey.
There's the machine himself. 5 or more placements. Each move increases the risk of behavioral problems, school disruption, and emotional distress. 50% of foster children receive mental health services despite the high prevalence of mental health issues. I mean, we got to think about all of these things, right? That are going into this. So why aren't these kids, when they go into the foster care system, take that money and they need to get them help immediately? For separation of being with their parents, right? Without their family and that stuff. There's a lot of things. You're right, Gunnar. They're just taking this stuff on the value of the face value of it. Look at my new car. Look at my house and this. And these kids are getting fragged. They're not getting any of the attention that they need. Getting a foster kid is a blessing. And you know what? These kids need to be cared for the way that they need to be. They should be getting, if indeed they have come, it doesn't matter if they had come from a violent home at this point. The turmoil and the shit that they've already been witness to now and taken out of their home is just as bad, I'm sure, if not worse, than being abused in your home. Like, you were just stolen from somebody. You just lived an actual kidnapping from your home. So these kids need to be put into care immediately to get those feelings squashed and get that to make sense of what's going on here. They're not doing it. They're throwing them into these nice, stable-looking villas, like Gunner's saying, new house, new car, new all this stuff, and to the face, it looks wonderful. But the reality is, the kid that's paying for all of that is sitting in his bedroom crying because he wants his parents, and no one's helping him. So we've just taken him from a bad situation to worse, or a no situation to a bad one.
And that's what CPS does, is their commercial cut, or their perspective of what they show the public, is exactly that nice house, that nice clean environment, that nice neighborhood. Look how much better this kid comes out of. And they'll show something like a ghetto or a fucking trailer and say, see how much better this child's life is. And that's what they sell to the fucking politicians and to the fucking public out there, to gain money and to look like we're not the bad guy, when the fucking truth of the matter is, it's fucking disgusting.
And then all of us that are advocates that actually know the truth, we're being censored, we're being shadow banned, we're told to shut up and stay in our place. Absolutely not. It's us that's exposing them.
Yeah.
50%. Check
Federal.
this. 50%. 50% of the kids that age out will be homeless within the 4 years that they age out. 50%.
Or in prison.
Well, I haven't got to that
Okay.
number yet. That's a whole
Darren,
different one.
If you want, I've got a video that's a video short testimony that we actually played on our show from a survivor, a younger kid. He's well known within our groups. We're actually probably going to have him on our show on Gunning for CPS. And if you want, I'll share that video.
Yeah, rip it. If you got it, rip it out.
Oh,
It's not
yeah,
Bo,
I've
is
got
it?
it. Uh-huh.
It's not our boy Bo, is it?
It might be Bo. Let's see here.
Former CPS orphan ward of the state here,
No, that's
Travis
not him.
Reed, and I'm here to tell the motherfucking
Travis.
truth. I'm a strong, reliable, credible source. I paid for it with my sweat, blood, and fucking tears in CPS as an orphan ward of the state for 10 years of my childhood. Well, I tell you what, it damn sure ain't fair that I was getting molested and beat the fuck up on and off throughout the entire time. Residents, staff members. I was a little motherfucking 8-year-old white boy in the middle of Houston, Texas. That's right, H-Town, y'all, the city, baby. City of Swang. In a shelter downtown, 200 kids. First night, me and my brother sitting Indian style. And they put kids 5 to 18 in the same damn room, 5 to 17 in the same damn room. And my brother was sitting down on the ground. They had a little box TV, a little square TV. It was 1996, and we was like 70 motherfuckers deep on that floor watching TV, sitting Indian style, with 100 others running around that bitch. Running amok, crazy. And me and my brother, at the age of 8 and 10, had our skulls slammed together so hard by a 14-year-old it knocked us out cold. And then they wonder why a motherfucker ends up going to prison or dying before the age of 21 after coming out of the system, after living in the system for many years. Sounds like their claim to protect is a fucking lie. Well, let me tell you something, folks, it is. Like I said, I went through that shit every day of my life for fucking 10 years. Tell me what it looks like when you sit down at 10 and 12 years old with your motherfucking brother and discuss being put up for adoption because we were complete orphan wards of the state. Parents' rights were terminated completely. Let me tell you how bad the system was. We had to get the fuck out, so we put ourselves up for adoption. At 10 and 12, we get adopted out of the system by a Lamarck High School football coach. Everything was cool for the first 6 months. Then the motherfucker started to beat the fuck out of us. West Columbia High School football coach, Barry Todd Griggs. We ended the adoption after being in the adoption for like 3 years, almost 4 years, I think, in Lake Jackson at Brazoswood High School. That's right. He was a Buccaneers coach. I think like JV or freshman or some shit, but still a fucking coach at Brazoria County, Brazoswood High School in Lake Jackson. Back in 2003 or 2004, this hit the fucking courthouse. Charged with aggravated sexual assault to a child causing bodily injury. Me. Motherfucker didn't catch no rape charges from that. However, he was convicted of assault. Got felonies for that. Wouldn't even let me. CPS wouldn't even let me testify in court. Let me show my face. That's hoe ass shit. I'm 33 now, and what they don't know is I'm getting ready to make a motherfucking move. Brazoria County's about to pay me. CPS is about to pay me. I'm going after everybody who has violated me and my rights, and goddamn got all the evidence is on fucking file. Look up Barry Todd Griggs in Brazoria County. Those are my charges. Those are from when I was fucking 14 years old and that case hit the fucking thing. Like I said, I sucked that man's and got for fucking 4 years. Had to perform oral and anal sex for 4 years as a child. Ran away back to the system. Stay tuned for more.
Damn. And that's it. And there's so many stories like that. So many of them.
And they
So
all
who's helping what?
say
Go ahead,
the
Tiff, sorry.
same story.
I was getting ready to say the same thing, right? All the parents' stories are the same, and all the kids' stories are the same. It doesn't matter where they're at.
I'm going to see if I can get Bo, guys.
Parents' rights.
So ironically, Gunner, before I got the video, I actually had gotten it from my sister, who called me 3 times today to talk about this video. And then, okay, everybody, I'm in Facebook jail. Just because I'm not saying or doing nothing, I'm in jail until Wednesday.
Convicts in here.
Yeah, I'm in jail.
Hey, I've been expelled from TikTok, so don't feel bad.
Yeah. So I want if because I don't know where Darren went. Can you pull up that doctor video?
He said he's
Yeah,
asking.
I
the
will.
back
Hold
row
on. I'm
was
just
that
trying to see if
video.
we can't get Bo on here. Yeah, I'll pull it up in 1 second.
Okay,
You
yeah.
put it in my messenger, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep,
yeah,
that's
I'll pull it
because
up.
Gunner sent it to me and then I could send it to you because I tried to put it on Facebook and it said, you are in
Oh,
Facebook
that one.
jail.
Yeah. Listen, I've been going down rabbit holes talking to everybody. Listen,
Well, Gunner, do you
my
have it?
show's picking up. Didn't I say? Well, I think I emailed it to you, didn't I, Tiff? Or
I
was
don't
it
know.
in
If you
the?
have
No,
it right
you
there, it might
sent
be
it through
easier.
Messenger.
Okay, you're gonna have to give me a minute, and I'll see if I'm sure I can pull that up. And let's see if everybody can be quiet for a while in my other stuff. We'd be okay. Let's see. The one with the doctors.
The doctors and the mom.
Yeah. I got that one. Hold on. Give me a second here. Let me spin this up for you guys. And remember, now hold on now. Let's remember that we broke the story about the epidurals. And then CPS coming in behind the epidurals and then drug testing them behind that. That story broke here. Here, we broke that story nationally.
But
And that
listen,
this is,
Vermont, a mother in Vermont is suing them.
I think I've talked to her.
Good.
She says, what do you mean? I says, go ask your doctor to pull that batch and go back. And there's a lot number and everything on that medicine. They have to keep track of it. Go back to your manufacturer and tell them you want an ingredients list from the drug manufacturer broke down, and they have to give it to you by law under the Freedom of Information Act, because that is not to be hidden. They're supposed to disclose what's in it. That's why there was a huge thing over the COVID. There's no ingredients list. That's what everybody was going on about. She went through it and looked at the ingredients and separately looked over and listed what those tests would go through there. And sure enough, it would go through if these were tested, and taking those to a certified lab, and going, now, if this is in my blood and they shot it in me before the baby was born, it's getting it through the umbilical cord. And I'm getting it as well because the baby's feeding off me, literally. That's why I'm testing positive for this, because this shit's in there. Look, it's right fucking there. And that's what they said I tested positive for and how they took my baby. Yeah, the hospital administered the drug that took your baby. You can now sue that hospital
Well, what
because
they're
they're the ones that
doing,
gave you the drugs.
right? They're giving you the epidurals with fentanyl in them, and then calling CPS and telling them you're a drug user.
Yep. Every bit of it. And there is even stories going around that certain nurses are on watch at hospitals to look for babies, especially in inner city areas, to pick and choose, or in like areas like Appalachia, or some of the poorer areas and stuff like that, to look for these things, because they don't put up a fight. They don't know. All they're going to do is cry and scream. They don't know there's not a thing you can't take a baby without a court order or nothing. I mean, we've shown it on other cases. They showed up and tried to steal a baby, no court order, no nothing in hand, and a man went to defend himself. And then they tried to pull some bullshit. It's like, where was the court order or anything? Procedural thing says if you fucked up your procedure, such as saying no warrant, a court order in your hand, you were to stop. You just broke the law. But that's not what they're doing, and that's what the courts and everything is going. So yes, I have that. Give me a second. You distracted me.
I'm sorry.
Damn
So
on
while
me.
you find it, I'm going to
That's
say
okay. I've
this.
got it. I've got
Well,
it
let me
right
say
here.
this real quick. Well, I'll wait till after the video. Go ahead and show it.
This will fuck you up.
Force me to put my kid on ADHD medicine, or else you're going to call CPS on me?
Be real. I never said anything about forcing you. I'm saying this is what's recommended for your kid. You have to put your kid on these meds. Like, it's best for your kid. I'm trying to do you a favor. Not even do you a favor. Do what's best for your child. And if you don't follow these instructions, ma'am, I will be forced to call CPS.
So you are forcing me. You're saying either I put my kid on medication that they don't need.
I will be forced to call CPS. what you're doing right now is jeopardizing your kid's future. I'm not trying to sit here and argue with you. I'm not debating with you. I'm the doctor, so I'm telling you what's best for you and your kid.
But I don't understand, because my child has not shown any symptoms of ADHD, and I'm asking if I can get a second opinion, and you're telling me no, either put my child on medication or you're calling CPS. Okay. That's forcing me.
You asked about a second opinion. I am your second opinion. I'm the doctor.
No, you're not. You were the first opinion.
Okay. All right. Well, first and second. Why? I'm your doctor. If you don't trust your doctor, then you shouldn't be, coming here. Which is crazy for you to think that you want to.
If I trusted my doctor wouldn't be threatening me with calling CPS. Well, that would be me trusting my doctor.
Like I said, it's not a threat. It's not a threat. I'm trying to do what's best for you and your kid. If you love your kid enough, then you will listen to my words.
Don't tell me if I love my kid or not. That's my kid. That's my kid.
I understand that's your kid, but understand that I'm the doctor. I'm doing what's best for your kid. I'm literally showing you the results. I'm giving you the best advice. Put your kid on these medications because it's best for them. If not, by law, I am forced to call CPS because you're showing signs that you don't love your kid enough to actually put your kid on these medications.
I have never heard this. We came here for a checkup. Their teachers have never, ever asked me to get them tested for ADHD. Okay. So this is a surprise to me, which is why I asked for a second opinion. And now you're just threatening to call CPS on me. That doesn't make any sense.
Fine, but look at how you're acting. That's why, of course, your teacher's not going to tell you that your kid is. These kids run around all day and they play and they're hyper and they do what they do, correct?
Right. So my kid's a normal kid. You know what? Call CPS. Call CPS. They're going to see my clean, loving home. Call them. I don't care. I'm out.
I'm so proud of her.
Here's the thing. That's a mandatory reporter off the fucking chain, violating the constitutional rights of that mother and trying to force a medicine on a child without parental consent by use of the government of just claiming, right there, I want you to look at that, by just claiming I'm a mandatory reporter and I outrank you as a fucking parent. Now, the Constitution says something completely different there, doctor. And not only, I'll tell you what, I'd sue the fuck out of him and make sure he never practiced medicine again.
Yeah,
Ever.
he needs to.
But right there is an example of doctors on the payroll of motherfucking CPS.
And the pharmaceutical.
And the pharmaceutical companies. Force this drug on them. Do this, do that. What fucking country is this, damn it? First you steal our kids, now they're fucking test fucking babies for ADHD? Well, hey, no teacher reported anything. Nothing else of this. The doctor made the ultimate call in healthcare. Why? Because they're scared you're not dependent.
He's not even a psychologist.
No. He's not even qualified to write that script, even as a pediatrician.
I tell people you have to build an alliance. Like you got to build an alliance. You should have good, open relationships with teachers, doctors, especially your doctors. Daycare providers, police officers who know your character, right? Because anytime CPS comes to you, that's what they're attacking. They're attacking your character. And you have to have character witnesses, right? Because they don't believe in evidence.
Well, when you get to the proper jurisdiction and the proper courtroom, they do depend on evidence. And then all the bullshit state stuff goes away. Because why? You in big boy court, which is the place CPS fears. And they've taught most lawyers you can never get past Rooker versus Feldman because states have this, and that. But that does not tell you the rest of the story. That's for your case. What they don't tell you, if you've had a constitutional rights violation, it is mandatory for that judge to stop and say, I no longer have jurisdiction, and move it to the federal court and tell them to file the paperwork. The judge lost jurisdiction as soon as you cried, they came into my home with no warrant or court order. Well, how can you prove that? Check their facts report, the evidence in front of you, judges and magistrate, because every single one of you crooked motherfuckers that took these kids away from these parents, that's the thing that's going to hang you, is you go back to the evidence you were required to take and look at, and guess what? What's it say? Entered the home, did the inspection, did this, did that. Now what? You were required to ask, how the fuck did you get into the home? Is the judge's job or the magistrate? No, that shit, oh, well, they let me in or I got permission. No, according to federal case law and the Social Security Act of 1935 that we've talked about, Section 1, is it 1101, to turn around and say, no, you are required. The bare minimum is to have a warrant or court order or an imminent danger. And they even define it in federal case law to come in. Everything else is coercion and unconstitutional, and it's a felony. Why? Because when they do that, what's the felony charge? Breaking and entering. Breaking and entering is a felony.
The night they were out here, 12 of them and a CPS worker, you clearly hear me ask them if they have a warrant. Because I told her, you have to get a warrant. She said, no, I don't. I said, yes, you do. They know they can't come in my house, and you're not coming in my house. Get a warrant.
And here's the thing. Just because they get one warrant or you're in court doesn't mean they get unrestricted access to your home. They have to have a court order or warrant for each individual entry into the home.
With a specific reason.
With a
and it has to be a specific place and person.
Time, date, everything. It all has to be laid out within a window. If they miss that window, then that entry or that court order is null and void. If you set an appointment and your CPS worker's late or something like that, or anybody else is late for your court order, no, your window was closed. It said between here and here, and you're here. Well, I'm sorry. Guess what? You know, I had another case come up, and that's not my fucking problem. Your court order's null and void. That's where you got to know it. Here it says right here, you have between this with a so many hour window, respectively. In other words,
when they issue a preliminary protection order, how long are those good for?
I don't know.
I think the first one is 5 days. I think they're just like regular protective orders, but they're CPOs here, child protective orders.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have one here in Virginia that I'm working on. They put a CPO on this child with no crime, no nothing against the parents until this child's 18th birthday.
Here locally where I'm at, my area started to pick up on the show things I've said on. Some people noticing my TikTok was down and looking for me. It started a buzz. Supposedly, in my town, federal authorities are starting to nose around the county. So it's kicked up a lot of dust of what's going on in the juvenile system. Some things have been sniffing around. But once again, of course, the biggest mouth comes around, well, who's doing this or who could possibly do this? And all of a sudden, everybody's coming to me. And it's just one of those things of just, guys, just wait. We can't talk about it. We can't deal with it. And, I can't talk about what I know about a ongoing and federal investigation. But we're going to figure a few things out. Like I said, with some of the stuff that we've talked with, certain things, we did a lot of testing because we didn't know who to trust. We gave certain amounts of information to certain areas or certain people without very much specifics of our case. One of it being, what I've shared with you guys. they didn't have the specifics of our case to basically connect a lot of the dots that need to put all the pieces together. Now, that has been discussed amongst other people just in case something happens to me. Several people know about how to put all the pieces together. And when they see the pieces, they realize holy shit, what we've uncovered. As you know, you guys have. I mean, imagine that. All of this going away and actually having a shot at it. But you've got to be smart. You've got to understand the first thing that CPS, and they're notorious for doing, is they love to play checkers. And when you put them in a game of chess, they lose their fucking mind because they just don't understand. Because by the time they understand where they think they have checkers are merely pawns.
Check this.
Go ahead,
this out.
Aaron.
Check this out. 80% of foster youth have significant mental health issues compared to 18 to 22% of the general population. PTSD rates among foster youths are twice as high as those of U.S. war veterans. Twice as high.
Yep.
30 to 40% of foster children do not receive routine medical care while in the system.
But
They
that
say
if
when
that
they-
was a parent, they'd be taken away for medical neglect.
Yep.
Oh, you can look at Darren. Look up the numbers on the under the Department of Health and Human Services, under the Department of Children and Family Services Division. Look at the national records, because they do an annual report every year on how many kids are in the system, how many cases actually come to be real or substantiated. I mean, they've got all those numbers of how they got involved in. But the last time I looked at it, it was like 98% of the time when they got involved, there was no case. So that's that 98% of the families are getting involved with CPS. That's just bullshit.
They had 7.5 million calls, and I think out of that 7.5 million, they went 400,000 investigations. So do that math. Imagine if you had a job that you could be wrong 100% of the time almost.
Yeah.
Well, that's not fair because the weatherman's always wrong too.
Well, this is true. Good call with that.
Well, now listen. Here's
We're
the point of the way it
coming.
was supposed to be structured, and this is how they perverted the system. It was originally supposed to be done that when something came in, the police investigated. If there was no case, everything went by. It was only in extreme cases to where there was no kinship or anything else, and CPS were supposed to be, not CPS, but they were friends of the court is what they were called. And they would help facilitate, basically friends of the court, find kinship, find the kids to place with family, this, and this, and that. Then they would come back to the court and say, Your Honor, we have nobody. We need to look into foster care programs. And then they would report back and forth to the judge. But they would facilitate when there was no help there, absolutely. They were never intended to be weaponized. And that was the whole point of this. Now they're out actively investigating. States are telling sheriff's departments and police departments that anything involving a child, automatically they come in all 50 states. This has been done. Why are you interfering if it's truly a crime? If there's no crime, why is CPS involved? Other than that, you have public programs that are supposed to be voluntary, which is where they're raking up the bucks, is forcing you into this by coercing you into signing over your rights, signing over your children, and sometimes in some states when you do it, you catch a Class C felony. And now they've got your kids trapped in the system. It's a whole circle. It's not hard to put this shit together.
You're 5 times more likely if you come from a foster care. If you come from a foster home, you're 5 times more likely to have CPS involvement.
Oh, no, it's more than that. They track them now. They now have a computer database system that tracks all this. It can go through your whole family. That's what they're talking about, this national human trafficking thing that they're talking about. That some of your senators want to take and pass it. That database is CPS's fucking database. They want to nationalize this. They want to share your CPS information across state lines with all 50 states. That's part of the human trafficking. They're going to sell it under human trafficking, that they're going to share all this information they've gathered on you. With all the departments, including with they're talking about anybody can access it. Police departments, FBI, all these people, this national, and they all get input on it. They get to add to it if it goes federal. How much of your personal information is out there? And if you've encountered CPS, all your shit's out there.
Well, I've been saying that for years. People always told me I was crazy and didn't know what I was talking about. But here we are.
Oh, but Tiff, we found the link in the armor for this whole database system that completely shuts it down, prevents it, and everything else, enough to prove it in a court of law, which is where we're going. And once that's exposed, and one of our witnesses might be Marsha Blackburn, that sits on the Legislative Society that has sponsored this bill in her particular state for this particular thing. And when I reveal what I have on that system, I think she's going to be a little surprised she sponsored it and is pushing for it. Because once they find out what all that includes and you do your research for it, what all is on that database? Well, when you've encountered CPS and you've looked through all their stuff, I know what's on that database. I know what's not supposed to be on that database. That is a very core constitutional right violation database. Oh, and when that comes out, you're going to see two very powerful groups come together, so fucking pissed off that, oh, now we're joining forces with other people that are, now you're kidnapping and trafficking the children. And this other group that's coming up with it, you ain't going to like it one bit. Because when that group speaks up, it's over. Fuck around and find out is done. I dare you.
Get this. Current estimates indicate that before turning 18, 37.4% of all children, including 53% of black children in the U.S., will be subjected to a CPS investigation. In 2020, U.S. child welfare agencies received a total of 3.9 million reports involving 7.1 million children.
Did you know even though a mandatory reporter reports you, you still don't have to let them in your home?
It doesn't matter who reports you.
Mm-mm. Mandatory or voluntary. Understand, this is a socialist system, the same thing that was in China. Behave, do this, do that, and it's called the social credit program. That's exactly what this is. This is a Marxist program, and they're running it just to the letter.
Get this. 76.1% of the so despite the common misconception that most maltreatment cases involve abuse, 76.1% of substantiated maltreatment reports in 2020 involve allegations of neglect. In contrast with physical abuse, constituted 16.5%, sexual abuse 9.4%, and sex trafficking constituted 0.2% of substantiated maltreatment reports.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if you take those numbers and find out how many of those kids now that went to foster care have experienced these things, abuse, and not even neglect, but the abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, things like that. So how many kids that are put into that foster care system are experiencing these things? And these are things that we need to teach the kids.
I don't know if you all are on, I'm on Texas's DHHS website. This is so disgusting. Once a month, they put up the children's name on this website, their ages, and that they're up for adoption,
Shopping
and
list.
what happened to them.
Shopping list.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, listen, I know we've talked a lot about foster care. Let's make a distinction here on the show too. There is a big difference between a foster home and a foster facility, such as a large boys' home or something like that. So let's make some distinctions there between the two. A lot of these are those institutionalized things that they haven't been placed in a home yet, or a possible foster parent or something like that, or potential foster parent where they're there. That a lot of this we're talking about is the institutionalization, but at the same flip too, as well as homes. And not all foster homes are bad. I can tell you that because one of my good friends growing up was a foster child. Matter of fact, him and his brother were both foster children, and they were in a loving home, taken care of, and this and that. And it was nothing of his own fault, but the thing he couldn't get past is CPS did take an involved to him, or did tell them he was taken from his mother because his mother was a heroin addict, and they took him as a baby. So he stayed in the system up to a certain point, and I think they got him at like 2, 3 years old, and basically raised him as their own son. But there was always something within him that he would always say. He goes, "Listen, I've always got something within me that I can't explain. That I have this hunger for something that, my mom was an addict, was always a thing." And I watched him go down a really, really bad road because he had nowhere to turn, and there was no follow up with anything. And everybody around him did what they could for him. He was also caught up, and some of you of us older people, we remember this. There was a college, a technical college, and I believe it was DeVry or something like that, or one of those that fell. UTI or something. It was then they had certifications to where their certificate training in electronics meant something. Well, that school fell and completely lost accreditation, so anybody that had a certificate, it was worthless. He was kind of caught up with that, but he was working for a very large international firm company, traveling internationally, doing stuff, seeing all sorts of stuff. I mean, it was really cool what he was doing, but he couldn't get past the fact that he had that hunger he couldn't explain. I mean, his brother was adopted too. He come out of an abusive home in the sense. So these two were actually better off, but they did find a safe home. And we're not saying that about every home that's out there, guys. What we're trying to say is that is not the majority anymore. That's not what's happening anymore. The safer homes are getting smaller and smaller and fewer. And that's not what's happening. Because some people have figured out a way to not even go to work for the rest of their lives and stay home and play video games, and everything's provided for them by just taking in a bunch of kids. And the amount of stuff they qualify for, especially in some states, is ridiculous. I mean, they've got a nicer, bigger fucking house than I do, but they've got 6 kids in there, and you're watching them and they're just running amok, like what he was talking about. So they were just collecting and feeding them, and that's all they're required to do. They don't have to love these kids. They don't have to do anything. They have to feed them, clothe them, and make them obey, and put them in the system. That's exactly what I was. Send them to the public school, educate them, and when they turn 18, it's no longer our problem. Now we can still make money off that investment of that child. Why? Because it's going to destroy the rest of their lives. Unless they have a massive intervention of some sort that changes their lives, changes their direction, and it gives them a chance to heal. But 90% of the time, we don't learn to heal. That's our biggest problem. And that's the same thing with a lot of cases with people that do get hurt. They don't heal, and then they start accusing other people because they're so paranoid of everything. That's a high number on that too, with the research on that. But these foster homes, these institutions, they're terrible. We've got one here that's not far from us. And yes, it's sponsored by a religious organization, as most of them are, the bigger homes, separated between boys and girls. And it's just one after the other, and they just get more violent. Why? Because these kids have never been shown love. And all they've known is violence and this and that. And that's how they make their money. They would rather release somebody like that into society, 18, you're cut off, no job, and you're going to repeat the same damn cycle that you just went through because you've not been given the skills, or nobody gave a shit about you enough to give you the life skills, and you've struggled from the time you've turned 18. I hear this out of every kid that's been through that system. By the time I turned 18, I struggled till I was 25, even to have a roof over my head, sometimes a constant roof. That's how difficult it was. Because I had no skills, no preparation, nobody did anything. I was 18, graduated, signed up for the selective service, and then when I turned that certain age and out of school, I was kicked out. There was no more money. So they kicked me out on the street. I had nowhere to go. I went straight to a shelter. That's 90% of the stories I hear from kids that have been in the system. Now, the ones that had loving homes, no, they helped. They produced on. Matter of fact, they even encouraged them to go to college and help them apply for things like, why? Because there's tons of programs for kids that are in the system to get into colleges. Once again, that's the ultimate programming for them. Hey, we'll put you through college and get you started off in debt really good, and then go work for one of these systems. And that's how they're selling this stuff to people. That's why they're getting these caseworkers and some of the others of, we just want to help somebody, the bleeding heart syndrome. And they're selling it. Did you hear what he said? That whole thing in that video? He turned around and he goes, yeah, we're here to protect the children. I guess they ain't doing that no more. And it's not just his story. It's every kid coming out of the system. Why? And then I've got another one that I'm talking to that her kids have been taken, and because her kid is aged out of the system, has decided to stay there because they have a younger sibling, and it's okay for them to live in the house that they are, so they don't leave or split the family. Mom, I can't come home. I'm 18. I know I still can't talk to you, but I've got to protect my younger sibling from shit. That's the shit that people are writing to me. Stories they're sharing with me of just like, no, it's this bad. And they don't care. And then to find out when they showed up, guess what? They showed up middle of the night, late in the evening, snatched the kids, no warrant, no nothing. They caught them up in the system, no paperwork. And over the phone, she turns around. It was after hours when they got the kids. It says, the judge signed it after hours, but did they have anything in hand when they took the kids? Not a single fucking thing. I said, ma'am, change your venue, go to your federal court, file your shit that's a Fourth Amendment seizure violation. And they didn't provide it. You don't even have a copy of it. You're done. You should have a copy to produce in your hand. Is what it is.
Mm-hmm. All right, guys.
And
we could keep going and going and going and going, but our time is up here. We got people coming up behind us.
Roger that. Guys, thanks for having me out here.
Thanks for coming in tonight, buddy. Appreciate that. We always have a good time with you here. Make sure you check out Gunner's show on Sunday nights, 9 o'clock, 9:30, right?
Absolutely. Eastern Standard Time, people. Eastern Standard.
That's on the east side. So Eastern Standard Time,
East
guys.
East
check
side.
it out.
Peace out.
Right. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow.
Yep.
All right. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
No.
All right, everybody. Educate your kids. Replay this. Show this video to your kids in the morning. Let them hear it. But we're Tiff and the Punisher. We'll see you all tomorrow. And this music will play at some point. There we go. Maybe. There we go. That's the wrong one. That's our normal song. We can't end on that one, Tiff. Hell with it. Whatever. It's going to work for tonight. Have a good night, everybody.
I shout a minute, no one has a thing to say for those who have been isolated. Don't be worried, you have a voice today.
Let's go, Brandon!
Everyone here is the story. Child Protective Services is real. CPS is what they call it. They want our kids because it fills a lot of people's wallet. We all think it won't be us. We say when they come we will be so tough. It all sounds good when there's no one to take them. The When they come, your voice gets to breaking. Stay calm, step away. CPS ain't taking no one today. We are educated. Stay calm, step away. CPS, you need to leave. I know the tricks up your sleeves. You can't do what you're trying to do. We've done our homework. Don't do a damn thing without a warrant. You know the number. We'll steal our kids this way. Tiff and the Punisher have come for the calling. They are giving us the CPS warning. Their voice is loud and clear. We stop losing our kids this year. Tiff wants to fight the entire planet. She is tired of our kids being taken, God damn it. She's been fighting CPS for 30 years, bringing children home from this disgusting mess. The Punisher is screaming out loud, abolish CPS and tear it down. I want all our kids to come back. Look at all those kids' pictures held up like thin tags. Together we are stronger than we need. We will tear down CPS with high speed. We will do so much being together. Birds of a feather flock together. So watch out CPS, here we come. Picking you one by one. We promise to bring back the family and prosecute the caseworkers unhandily. Give us back the kids you have taken. Tiff and the Punisher sending you all on a vacation. The one with bars in the windows and the only games you play are on Nintendos. Corruption in courts, here we come. We won't stop until it's done. You judges need to learn what you stand for. This is Tiff and the Punisher warrior, and we cry out to all of you out there. We need support for a cause that many don't care. All children are being stolen way too often. So CPS, we plan on doing the start.